Hello, um, my name is Louis and I am the creator of Wynter Banks. I have decided to do this video as myself because when I got told that the theme was Black Lives Matter, I felt like I just wanted to speak from the heart basically. A lot of my drag is very comedy heavy. I like to make fun of stuff. I like to, make everything just really fun and not too serious and quite entertaining. And, at the moment, I just didn't really feel like now was the time. Although I do still stand by what I say when I say, like, I think that humour is a very, very powerful thing. And, if you can laugh at something, then ultimately it's like laughing at yourself. If you can laugh at yourself, then ultimately you've accepted yourself. But no, I wanted to kind of just sort of speak from the heart, really, because it all ties together, with the protests going on at the moment, and with regards to our own community, LGBTQ plus. It all ties in together. There's a lot of African American influence there. I mean, a lot of works by black people have inspired pretty much everything in my life. Think about rock and roll, think about lots of theatre productions, lots of books and fashion and makeup, everything. It's that's what I love about the world of art and what I'm so glad that I've not let go of that artistic thing with me, because nothing brings people together more than the world of art. And that's in any kind of form, whether that's music or whether it's drawing or whatever. I actually went to a Black Lives Matter protest on Sunday. Now, before anybody gets judgy, with this current situation, I understand it was quite risky. However, the reason really for my going was my friend Ruth, who I've known for years. We've got back in touch after a few years after this lockdown, because during the lockdown we've sort of reconnected, and she called me really quite upset on Saturday night. She really wanted to go. Her daughter was speaking, and because both Ruth and her daughter have experienced terrible racism, I can't even begin to tell you what, she was just telling me the most horrendous things that I found absolutely disgusting. So it's really not just an issue in the States, it is here as well. And so Ruth wasn't sure, because she's such a sweetheart. She's been following this social distancing rules by the book, and she wanted to support her daughter and she wanted to support the cause. But then, of course, she was worried that she would experience even more hardship off people saying, well, we're in the middle of a pandemic here, you really ought to stay at home. So I said to her, look, why don't I just come with you? Like, I'll come with you just for some support. So she said yes. Like, she texted me in the morning. She said, you know what? Yes, I do want to go. So we drove to Chester, met up, and I'm so glad I did. Like, I am quite a nerd, so I thought I was quite clued up on Black history. I watch all kinds of documentaries, I read up on it all, all the way back to sort of slave trade days and things like that. And I'd learned that just how much of a problem racism is in the UK, which I didn't usually sort of think it was. I did sort of think it was a bit more of a states, a bit of an America thing. Um, but the brave people that got up and talked about their awful experiences, but it was so peaceful as well. It was so uplifting. What annoyed me this morning when I looked at BBC News was that they decided to cover a lot on the minority, and it was a minority in London that decided to turn it violent. And I thought, here we go. This is the BBC, this is the media all over, because, they're not focusing on the peaceful protests. They're looking at the protests that aren't for the right reasons, and it's a small minority ruining it again for a majority who are protesting peacefully. Chester's protest, first of all, I've never seen such a turnout. I've never seen Chester so busy. It was just really good. There was a part where a girl got up and talked about white privilege. Now, I always was a bit sceptical with that one, because I know, friends of mine who are white and busy. It was just really good. There was a part where a girl got up and talked about white privilege. Now, I always was a bit sceptical with that one, because I know, friends of mine who are white and who haven't been able to eat, that have been on the breadline and have experienced all the hardship. But the way this girl explained it to us and sort of what it means gave me an insight as to how black people feel and what they mean by white privilege, and it made it so much more relatable. It was about how they can, walk into a public place or walk down a street, and I can't keep still. Sorry, and feel worried, or if they come across people in the police force, they feel kind of threatened, when really the police are there to protect them. And as a white person, that's not something we sort of particularly worry about. I mean, I know in our community, like we have our own issues that we still have to fight for and we have to worry about. So I did feel like I could relate. Of course, I've never been black, so I don't know how. I would never be able to speak like they did yesterday at the protest about those issues. But what I realised and what made me feel really good was that I felt like I was an ally, and I didn't realise that I was an ally. It just felt really good. I felt like I was part of something much bigger than I did when I woke up that morning. So that was very, very positive indeed. It's just when's it going to end? The statue being pulled down in Bristol. Absolutely, it should have been. To think it's been there for so long is an absolute slap in the face. It's ridiculous, and I'm so glad that those protesters pulled that thing down. Imagine. I mean, I can't imagine, because I've never been black, like I say. But if I had to walk past that statue every day of somebody who is celebrated for using blood money to make himself into this hero, he sounds to me like he was a very big part of enslaving thousands and thousands of innocent people. And the fact that there's a statue there in 2020 is ridiculous. So if I was in Bristol, I'd like to safely say that I'd be there helping them pull it down. I think it's disgusting. But yeah, I mean, with the theme of this week's Black Lives Matter, I didn't think it was a very good idea to, put on an afro wig and do my impression of Beyonce or whatever, because then again I run the risk of cultural appropriation. Now, I like I say, I absolutely love black culture. Like I've often favoured black musicians over white musicians. I like all kinds of different music. I like a lot of different film stars. I like a lot of different. I have a very eclectic taste, and the point I'm trying to make there is that it's an eclectic taste. It's diverse. It's all about people who are different, people who have different skin tones, people who have different faiths, people who come from different places. Um, you know, and if we didn't collaborate, if races weren't together and we didn't kind of mix it up, then we wouldn't have rock and roll, we wouldn't have jazz, we wouldn't have all these really, really good art forms, and these all originate from African American styles. I just it really just it does baffle me how people in this day and age can be judged by the pigmentation of the skin, because that's all it is. It's pigmentation. You can't do anything about it, and we won't want you to do anything about it. We're all born with a different skin tone. How boring would it be if we all had the same look? You know. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up now because we're coming up to around 12 minutes. But I just really wanted to take this opportunity to speak from the heart and kind of introduce myself as me. Hopefully I'll get the chance to continue uploading and performing some more light-hearted pieces with Wynter Banks. So thank you for listening if you've stayed until the end, and hopefully see you all soon. Thank you very much.